Yo, unless Horizon Forbidden West actually makes it out later this year, to me, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the game for the PlayStation 5 in its opening year. Ratchet and Clank made very little impact on the PS4, if I'm totally honest with you guys, but they kicked off this first year of life for the PlayStation 5 with a massive bang. Look, I know that I am titling this as 5 things that I do hate about the game, but I will say that hate is definitely a very harsh word when it does come to this particular game. These are probably to be considered as minor criticism in a game that is otherwise absolutely fantastic, and to me, definitely a must buy if you do own a PlayStation 5.
Number 1.
Okay, so there was a digital deluxe edition that did came with a digital soundtrack and an art book, but I personally wish that there was a physical collector's edition. A game this gorgeous should have come with a physical art book, which I definitely feel that me personally would have really appreciated. I'm sure someone will release a full art book at some point. However, as this first huge exclusive for the PlayStation 5, I personally feel that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart should have definitely had a physical collector's edition.
Number 2.
Did I do it? Oh, what is this? What's with all this?
As always, I always try to aim not to provide any spoilers, but I will say that I personally plowed through the game in around 10 hours, and this seems to be the average from what I've read online. There are plenty of areas to explore in this game, and if you want to buy all of the awesome weapons and upgrades, you need to do this so that you can have the resources to do so. There is a new game plus where you can keep running through the game with your more powered up weapons. However, the initial run was so good that I personally wish they had a couple more hours to the overall experience, because it definitely is a great game, but I just feel that the game is probably a little bit on the short side for me personally.
Number 3.
Listen, Mort. You, Mort, and Mort better hide that lemonade before Mort shows up.
Before I get into my gripe, I will still say that Insomniac has done a phenomenal job on this game. This game is amazing. I don't want to take anything away from the dev team by my personal critique regarding the price, but I will say that I'm currently still in disbelief that I personally spent £80 on a game that I finished in around 10 hours over the weekend. I do know that it is a digital game, which usually is a little bit more expensive, and also with it being on the PlayStation 5, I understand that PlayStation or Sony have bumped up their prices slightly, but still justifying paying £80 for a 9 to 10 hour game is very difficult for someone like me to do. This situation is similar to when I actually did pick up the digital deluxe version of Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5, which I do believe it was around the same price tag and pretty much the same length in terms of completing the game. Yeah, again, that was a phenomenal game. I don't want to say that the game is worth less than what I paid for it, but at the end of the day, justifying that price tag for a game that I didn't even really revisit that much after my second playthrough kind of does beg the question, is how expensive are these games becoming? I guess putting this argument into perspective, I think ideally for me to spend £80 on a game, it would probably have to be in the same category of a GTA 5, for example, where the game has received support for the past 8 years, ensuring that people are still playing it with all of the DLCs that Rockstar have been releasing. So spending £80 on a game like this is easily justifiable. I don't want to sit here and say that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart doesn't have replay value or isn't worth £80, because I know there's definitely a lot of gamers that will respect what the dev team have done and will potentially say that it is actually worth the price tag that is attached to it. But I think maybe after your second run through, I'm not sure how often you may revisit this game after completing it a couple of times.
To our network. Come on, let's fix that communicator. We've got a dimension to save before the Emperor finds us too.
Number 4.
No. Oh.
Namaste, and peace be with you.
Now, I guess maybe someone new to the series may be tempted to play Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on the easiest settings for your first playthrough, but I personally would advise against doing that. This is a game that is very, very enjoyable and just a ton of fun when you do play it, and if you are playing on the easiest setting, I feel that you're just going to get to the end of the game and you pretty much have zero challenge. The game is fun, but with that little bit of extra challenge, I think that it probably would have been even better, because I think overall the game isn't really that much of a major challenge.
Number 5.
Okay, so whilst I did say on one of my previous gripes that the game doesn't really provide much of a challenge on easy or normal mode, I will say that definitely one of the main challenges that I initially had to overcome was controlling the camera at times whilst engaging in boss battles, or just some of those crazy battles where there's so many enemies coming left or right. It was definitely difficult for me to sometimes navigate between the two. To be fair, I did get used to this game mechanic the more I did play the game, but still pretty much struggled in certain situations. There was definitely times where I felt a little bit nauseous, probably the first couple of hours of actually playing the game prior to actually getting really used to that particular mechanic. In saying all of that, I'm not really sure as to whether this is an Insomniac thing with me personally, because I do recall having the same experience with my personal beloved game Sunset Overdrive, which is an awesome game, but a real head spinner at times that I personally found. I even went through the same feeling when I was also playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, so I don't know, as I said, whether this is for these type of games. Maybe it's just me personally, maybe I am being a little bit too nitpicky with it, because a lot of people did say that the game mechanic was really great with this game, but I just found initially playing it with the camera in particular in some of those settings was a little bit crazy at times. Anyway, peeps, that was just my 5 small gripes, nothing too major, probably me doing a lot of nitpicking in this particular video because, like most people have probably stated, this is definitely a phenomenal game. As you can see online, most companies that do reviews for video games has pretty much put this game as a 9 out of 10, and after playing it over the weekend, I will say that this game definitely does live up to all of those great critiques that it has been receiving. Definitely one for all of those who do own a PlayStation 5 to at least consider picking up at some point, because I do feel that this game definitely does the console justice at this point. Anyway, peeps, do let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've had an opportunity to play this game. Do you have any specific gripes which I may or not have mentioned, or would you think of my gripes? You think they're a little bit too fussy for this particular game? As always, we can definitely chop it up down below. But until next video, we definitely say peace out, peeps.
I know I've been away for, you know how long. So, I thought we should catch up. What have I been up to? Oh, just speaking with my adoring fans. Enjoying my lovely scenery. And finding out that there are two insolent lumbaxes running around trying to ruin everything. So, I'm offering a bounty of 3 squillion nefarious freedom coupons to anyone who can bring me those fuzzy miscreants, dead or alive. But preferably alive, so I can have some fun with them first. My elaborate spy network indicates that they'll be at Blizzard and Savali very soon. So, get to it! And if those Lombaxes are listening, just know that I'm going to crush you into dust, and then I'll blast that dust into a sun, and then I'll dump that sun into...
Great. Now I'm on...
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more cool urban gameplay videos.